You've seen the headlines, right? Money is just pouring into artificial intelligence at a breakneck pace. But as we look ahead to 2026, we're all facing this massive question. Are we watching the birth of the next great tech supercycle, or are we teetering on the edge of a really dangerous bubble?
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll look at the companies that are completely dominating the market right now. Then, we'll dive into that great debate. Is it a bubble or a supercycle? After that, we'll check in on the Magnificent Seven and their path forward, introduce a new disruptive force called AI agents, and finally, try to sketch out what the investment playbook for 2026 might actually look like.
All right, first things first, we need to get a handle on the sheer scale of what we're talking about here. There's a small group of companies that aren't just leading the market, you could argue they are the market. To put a number on it, get this, just 7 companies now account for roughly a third of the entire value of the S&P 500. Think about that, 7 companies out of 500. That level of concentration is pretty historic, and it has absolutely everyone paying very, very close attention.
And here they are, the names you know so well, the Magnificent Seven. These are the household names right at the epicenter of the AI gold rush. They're the ones driving the innovation, and, for now at least, they're the ones reaping the biggest rewards from all this investor excitement.
So whenever you have that much power and value concentrated in just a few places, it forces us to ask a really critical question. And it's the question that's probably going to define the whole market story as we head into 2026.
I mean, doesn't it feel a little familiar? The hype, the sky-high valuations, all the talk about a new paradigm? It has major dot-com boom vibes. The big debate now is whether the fundamentals are actually different this time around, or if we're all just watching a rerun.
And this really breaks down the two sides of the argument perfectly. The bulls, the optimists, they see AI as a new industrial revolution. It's a supercycle that creates so much productivity that it basically pays for itself. But the bears, the skeptics, they see a classic bubble. They see unsustainable spending, revenues that aren't quite real yet, and a whole lot of hype.
Now, at the heart of that whole spending debate are the hyperscalers. This is a key term to know. We're talking about the giants, your Microsofts, Amazons, and Googles, who are bankrolling and building the massive digital highways and power plants for the entire AI economy. Their decisions are shaping everything.
So what does this all mean for our Magnificent Seven? You know, for a long time, these stocks all kind of moved together like a team, but that might be about to change. And you don't have to take my word for it. This quote from Goldman Sachs really nails it. They're seeing the lockstep performance of these companies breaking apart. In other words, for 2026, it might not be one single story anymore. It might be 7 very different individual stories. So what does that mean in practice? It means people are starting to look under the hood. They're asking the tough questions now. Like, is AI actually helping your main business, or is it hurting it? What does your cash flow look like? How are things like global trade and tariffs affecting you specifically? The old idea that a rising tide lifts all boats is really being put to the test. Okay, so just when you think you're getting a handle on the landscape, a new piece of technology comes along that could shake everything up all over again. And that new thing is AI agents. So what on earth is an AI agent? Well, it's a huge leap beyond just asking a chatbot a question. Think of an AI that you can give a complex goal to, like plan my business trip to Tokyo, and it can figure out the steps and then actually go do them for you across different apps. It's less of a tool and more like a digital teammate. And this could cause a total earthquake in the software industry. For decades, software has been sold on a per-seat or per-person basis. But if one AI agent can suddenly do the work of 10 people, well, that whole model just breaks. The smart companies are already starting to pivot. They're thinking about charging for the value the AI creates, not how many humans are using it. And this isn't just about office software and emails. The same idea is being applied to the physical world. In factories and warehouses, AI-powered robots are being seen as the answer to labor shortages and a huge driver of new efficiencies.
So with all these moving parts, this bubble versus supercycle debate, the Magnificent Seven starting to splinter, the rise of these AI agents, where do you even begin to focus as we head into 2026?
Well, one thing is absolutely certain. The spending is not slowing down. Not at all. Projections show AI capital spending blowing past $500 billion in 2026. The amount of money being invested is just staggering, and it's still accelerating. And that, of course, brings us to the trillion-dollar question for 2026. It's not enough anymore to just say you're spending on AI. The market is now starting to demand proof.
How are you going to turn all of that investment into actual, real, sustainable profit?
So the takeaway for 2026 seems to be a new playbook that goes way beyond just betting on the biggest names. First, it's all about monetization, finding the companies that can actually make money from this. Second, it's about looking for the picks and shovels plays, right? The companies that make the chips, the cloud infrastructure, the software that powers everything else. Third, you gotta broaden your scope to other sectors that are using AI really well, like cybersecurity or robotics. And finally, a really important one, managing your risk. Being too concentrated in just those few big names could be pretty dangerous.
As we've seen, the whole AI investment landscape is starting to fragment. The simple story of just a few big winners is giving way to a much more complex, much more nuanced picture. There's enormous potential out there, for sure, but there are also some very real risks.
And that leaves us with one final big thought to chew on as we head towards 2026. If you look at history, big technological revolutions often create brand new leaders. So the question is, will today's giants just get bigger and solidify their reign? Or will the true winners of the AI revolution be names that, today, we're only just beginning to hear?